Well, hello and welcome to the PMQ live update for today, Thursday, October 15th. I had to look. We're halfway to Halloween, folks. So don't try any of those shenanigans on me. I had kids ringing my doorbell all day last night, and I was giving candy out left and right. That's my candy, darn it. So speaking of Halloween and scary stuff, we wanted to have a very serious conversation about something that is not as scary as you might think, ghost kitchens. And we are lucky enough today to have a good friend of the PMQ and a member of the U.S. Suites team, Gene McWilliams of Kitchens Unlimited. So Kitchens Unlimited is obviously an umbrella. It's the ghost kitchen concept. You have numerous concepts in there. So we want to talk about some of the pitfalls and things that you've gone through in trying to open up this concept, especially at this point, because when you started this idea, this was right at the beginning of the pandemic. And you had to make that decision right at the front. Do I continue or do I back away? And you decided to muscle through. And I mean, I'm getting your pictures and updates almost every other day. And it's actually, it's great to see it coming along. So we wanted to let people know that, ghost kitchens aren't as scary as you might think. But first off, why don't you tell them a little bit about who you are? I'm going to give you 2 minutes for that. And then we can talk about Kitchens Unlimited and what concepts that actually covers and so forth.
Thanks, Brian. So my name is Gene McWilliams. We are opening up a ghost kitchen, of course, in this interview. So it is literally delivery takeout business. No dining room whatsoever. So we ended up putting a 3-concept kitchen all under one commercial kitchen. That Kitchens Unlimited is our holding company. We are opening Gino's Grill, which is a cheesesteak concept, and Southern Illinois Burger Company, which is a crafted burger concept, and Lucia's Italian Kitchen is an Italian pasta and pizza concept. So everything under one umbrella, one delivery team. We're using our own in-house delivery. We're not going with third-party apps, things of that nature. So it's been quite a venture getting this thing built. We started a while back ago. We hope to be open right on November 1st. We're pretty close, but yeah, in a nutshell, it's in the middle of the pandemic. We were looking to build a big restaurant, and things went crazy. So we ended up going this week. That's kind of where we are now.
Okay, so you, like you said, you're looking at November 1st, so he's still not quite open. And I see today, which is, again, pardon the shitty connection. That's going to be my one S-bomb there. And he is using Wi-Fi. It actually cleared up as soon as I said that. Look at that.
Well, as soon as I smile, it clears up, right?
I know. But so he is actually, and he's still building out the store a little bit, but I mean, there's been a lot of progress. So the opening is November 1st. So you decided you've had a construction business, you've delved into culinary and stuff, all this for all these years. Is there one reason that you decided to go ghost kitchen? And I keep saying ghost kitchen. I want to say multi-concept unit because it's more more a proper term. It's like everything's under one roof for different concepts. So is there one reason why you decided to do multi-concepts under one roof and didn't do 3 different stores, or did you have one store and kind of decide that you wanted to add more to it?
Yeah, no. So when our goal was to put in that 4,000 square foot gastropub in Louisville, Kentucky, and we were close to signing our lease and ready to go. Drawing was done, and the pandemic hit. So we kind of pulled back and said, what do we do? And this could be bad. And thank God we didn't sign that lease. So I sat there for weeks going, man, how am I going to get my food out of here and how do we do this? So I knew about ghost kitchens in the UK, and they were kind of coming on before the pandemic. And I said, maybe that's the way to go, where the industry is going to head that way. We really dove into the delivery. And believe it or not, Brian, in 2019, before the pandemic ever hit, out of every diner in America in 2019, 40% of them were delivery. So delivery was climbing way before the pandemic. And I said, you know what, this makes sense. And then we turned around. And that's when I took the 3-concept idea and said, look, I can operate 3 instead of 1 for all the cost savings on the build and the operation and rent and things like that, and kind of mimic that independent ghost model. So that's where we took off with that, and we think we're going to be in pretty damn good shape once we open our doors.
Okay, well, I mean, again, it was something like you said, you're kind of modeling after something that you saw being successful over in Europe. And I did briefly show a little bit of the floor plan that you had sent me. You had somebody draft it up. And even since that floor plan, that's an old one, you found out by putting it in there that some of those doors opening up didn't have quite enough clearance, as far as like your make line or your refrigerator. So even on paper, you might take those exact measurements, putting it into practice, things pop up. As far as I think, what was it, like the cable in the back, some of the clearance that you needed for the electrical outlets and stuff like that, or?
Well, it was this monster behind me, right? That massive pizza oven. I mean, it literally,
It's beautiful oven, by the way.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's an art, right? It's great. But I had to bring it in early. I kind of built the walls, and I'm like, that oven just looks so big. And I said, I better get it in here. And thank God I did. I kept the walls down and put it in. And I realized that my pizza station, I couldn't turn with our wheels and our paddles. I was hitting walls. I'm like, oh, my God. So I had to revamp the whole pizza station, and it works great now. I should have drawn it that way. But, yeah, we made some slight changes. But other than that, it's been pretty smooth.
All right, well, and that was me really kind of jumping towards the end there. I did want to let everybody know if this is something that you might be interested in. You can ask Gene about his journey from starting this before the pandemic to now, and some of the hurdles he's had to jump over, hoops he's had to fly through. You can ask those live in the Facebook comments, and we'll get to them. But without any kind of further ado, I want to jump into some of the questions that we had. I was going to say, what do you think about in kitchen design? And I think we kind of covered that just briefly right there, is that you have somebody draw it up really well here for you, but you got to make sure that you have enough clearance on all the aspects of it. You can see right there at number 21, it shows how the doors open. So you have this much clearance. Now, again, on paper is not always the same as in practice. Was there one thing going into the design that you had in mind the whole time?
The number one thing was, for me, I knew we were doing 3 restaurants right out of the box. So the number one thing was to make sure that line was set up, that these cooks weren't crossing each other across that line. So the way that whole line is set up is Gino's Grill and the burger joint, they all cook from one side. And they never have to leave and cross over to Lucia's. That was the number one concern I had. So if you look at that plan, basically the entire left side of the cook line is the burger place, and the right side where the char and the cooktop and oven, that's Lucia's side with the pizza over there. So these guys never cross paths, and that was my main goal, was to be as efficient as we can, and then make sure that our food come off the line, up to the chef pass, and then out here to a delivery station and out the door. So I wanted that flow going right towards that door. And it did. It took some time for me to build the menu and build. I had a menu built before the design. You can't draw a building and then figure out a menu after that. You need to know what the hell you're cooking to build what you need to work. So, a good thing is make sure you know what your menu is before you ever design a kitchen.
Well, I like that. Because then at that point, like you're saying, you at least know what you're trying to get out of the kitchen, and that actually kind of influences where you're going to be placing stuff. And I did have a question. I was trying to write some of these things down as we're going, but I was going to ask if you were going to have separate kitchens. So technically you've got one large kitchen, but there are separate sections of it. Now, is there ever anywhere where, I guess we haven't actually even talked about your concepts. You have Gene's Grill, or Gino's Grill, I'm sorry, which is kind of, like you said, Philly cheesesteak and stuff like that. And then you have the Southern Illinois Burger Company, which is burgers, some big burgers. I've seen them. You got to unhinge your jaw like a python to eat them.
But they're perfect.
And then you have Lucia's Italian Kitchen. So you have an Italian place, a burger place, and then a grill, which encompasses anything kind of grilled. So you didn't build 3 separate. Yeah, cheesesteak, right. So you didn't build 3 separate kitchens for each one, though. You pretty much had all the equipment you needed in one kitchen to make all 3 concepts, but you did kind of separate it into separate sections. Is there any kind of cross-section in that Venn diagram where, the burger place will cross with the grill? You're trying to keep the cooks from running past each other, which is great because you don't want them running behind each other all day long. But is there any kind of crossover in that?
Yeah, there wasn't. I had no crossover. I'm like, oh my, here we are. We're great. And then as I started building and working with the menu and the web designers and everything else, I knew that Lucia's menu, the price point was too high for lunch. It's a very nice Italian concept. And I'm like, how do I get my menu down? And so we went to a 10-inch pizza at lunch, which wasn't on the menu. Our pasta dishes are now a lunch portion. So we opened up lunch from 11 to 2, and then I added 2 sandwiches on the Lucia's. Lucia's was not going to have any sandwiches, but I added the porchetta sandwich and then the Sicilian. We call it the Sicilian slammer sandwich. It's literally kind of like a hot Italian, capicola, mortadella, fresh basil, and then a reduction there. So now I can offer a sandwich through the Italian side too. It was only to get the price point down, but that Sicilian needs to be cooked on the flat top. I worked all the way around to maybe do it in a saute pan from the oven. It really needs to go on the flat grill. So that is one item that the guys on the other end will have to make as that comes through. So there is a little bit of cross, but everything comes to pass at one time. So we have a head chef that some of the orders from all 3 restaurants, and a pizza takes 7 minutes to cook, 2 minutes to make, and a cheesesteak cooks in 3 minutes. So we have to time this just like we're bringing it out to your table to do.
So there is a lot of expediting in the back of house, like it would be just any kind of restaurant that has all these items
Absolutely.
on one menu.
Now,
right?
we could have went, kind of the fast food model, right? And just, but that was not this is purely chef crafted all the way across. And that was our concept: is how can we bring chef crafted food that you would have to go to a pretty nice restaurant and pay large money at a little cheaper cost as we're a ghost kitchen, and give the customer that same product through a delivery service.
Okay. Well, I mean, because that's another question that I was going to have is, do you have, is it separate staffs for each kitchen? Or are they all kind of cross-trained in each concept? But, maybe they come in one day and they're working in Gino's Grill. Next day they're working in Lucia's.
Correct.
Or
exactly how it is. So, yeah.
They are all cross-trained. Okay. But once they get assigned to an area, they really need to kind of maintain themselves in that area and it sounds more like it's a very much a cooperative type thing in your particular ghost kitchen.
Correct.
That they have to ask the chef at the end if they need something cooked on the grill or something like that, or the flat top. But they are all cross trained in 3 different concepts currently.
Correct. Yeah.
I mean,
that's the. I don't want to get a guy who's just doing excellent on the pizza station and throw him on the grill and mess up his timing either. So we have to manage that and monitor these guys how they develop and where they are. So we may out of all of our cooks, there may be a shining star that says look, this guy makes pizzas better than I do. So guess where you're at every day? You're our pizza guy. So it could be that way, and we're going to have to really monitor that as we open and see who steps up to that level to where we stand.
Well, yeah, I was just actually getting ready to ask that when you answered. Is there some person that is maybe there's some employees who are just in that one area, and not even because they're really good at it, but maybe they can't manage the other parts. It's like, well, you know what, you do this really well over here. Let's just keep you on this side. But then, like you said, maybe this guy's been working over here at the burger place, but he makes pizzas better than anybody in the place. You shift him around. So there's no fear of just having, I don't want to say somebody pigeonholed, but somebody who is just assigned to that task. And then they can maybe move up the ranks and become pizza manager or something, pizza making manager or trainer or something like that within the operation. I mean, are you looking at that, having kind of figureheads for each? I know you said you had a head chef. Are you looking for figureheads for each concept as well that maybe is under the head chef?
No, not for each concept. I mean, we'll see who steps up to that mark. But we also, the other part of this, Brian, is we have a baker, right? So I've hired 2 bakers to work with us, and that's all they do. I mean, literally, we're making, of course, our own dough for pizza, but we're making our own chili bread. We're making our own burger buns in-house. So our pasta is made fresh in-house. So that I have 2 people assigned nothing but bakery, and people that are just prep cooks. So literally, they come in, and all they do is prep every single day. They don't even hit the line. So when the cooks come in, they go straight to the line and start cooking. And that way we hold consistency, whether it be one of our sauces or the way we season our chickens for the roast Philly or whatever that is. I don't want to have that whole team doing all that. So I literally hired 2 prep cooks that do nothing but prep for us.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with having that either, just having somebody who's just a prep team. So I'm just trying to figure out and let our audience kind of figure out how you're assigning tasks in there. If there is like, it's like even a mafia family. You got the boss up at the top, then he's got his capos, the consigliaries, moving on down. I think I actually got that backwards. But so there is kind of a hierarchy. But there are some people who just, like you said, just come in for prep. And I assume that's going to be with turnover and stuff like that. Now you haven't actually opened yet. So you're going to find that out. Nope. Huh?
Yeah, we had turnover before we opened. We had a line cook that was coming, and he's like, I think I'm going to stay where I'm at, and which is fine, But yeah, so we're already seeing a little bit of that as we're getting ready to bring everybody in. It is what it is.
All right. Well, I mean, yeah, there's going to be turnover everywhere, any point. I don't mean to laugh at it, but it's kind of funny. You're like, we haven't even opened yet. We've already had turnover. So, but it's good to hit. Yeah. Well, I mean, I like your tip here is to have somebody who can kind of maybe kitchen manager who can maybe oversee everything. And then past that, you can figure out where people fit in best. Right. And then you continually schedule them there.
With us is I need to get this one running like a top, and I need a KM that can, a chain of commanders, of course, me at the top and then him underneath. And they report to him before they come to me, and I want them to go through him at every aspect because next week I have an appointment. We're literally looking at a space number 2 in Champaign. I have a meeting to look at a building out there, and our goal is to start construction within 6 months of opening this one on store number 2. So this store has to get up and running hard, and I want him to be that leader, because I'm not going to be able to be here when we're building another one as much.
Well, I mean, that's ambitious. You haven't even opened up yet. I mean, now don't get me wrong. These are plans to, if things go well, you want to open up another one in 6 months. And again, these are just talks. But I mean, do you anticipate? How can somebody anticipate the market that they're going to maybe do that well, or should, regardless of the market, have their next step in place as they're building this one? Absolutely. And if maybe they don't hit those benchmarks, of a certain revenue or a certain time period, they can adjust it. But I mean, should you have those goals set ahead before you get the first one open?
No, you should. I mean, our goal is to have 3 open in 2 years. And that was always, once we started this, that was our plan. So in order to hit that mark, I need to look at that within 6 months to start, signing the lease, getting started on drawings and permit and all that. So we believe in our concept wholeheartedly. And let me tell you, as you know, from being on the pizza team and all of us, and guys are struggling. If you're not moving to this delivery type concept and online ordering and the things where it's going, when the pandemic does slow down, and it will, as we know sometime, this isn't going away. It's not going away for a while. Is it 5 years? Is it 7 years? I don't know. But I know that it's here. What I feel in my gut is I'm here for 5 to 7 years, and we're going to take this thing and run. I mean, Domino's didn't say, well, let's just go over one, right? See how it goes. You have a plan to say, okay, this one's doing this, and but our plan is to do 3 here in the first 2 years, and then we'll see where we are at that point, for sure.
Okay. Well, I mean, I like that. It's you have the best hopes for what's going to happen now, but I mean, you realize how long it took you now. So if you can, more of those steps that you can actually do beforehand, get them done, and then have everything ready to go.
Yeah, I got a badass oven to put in my backyard if it doesn't work, so we'll be all right.
Well, okay, that's a little more optimistic than most people would be about that particular situation. But yeah, moving on. Were there any hidden pitfalls that you really had as far as like trying to set this up? Like you went in there, and again, I think I mentioned briefly at the beginning, you are a contractor as well, so you know all about build outs. You've done this for other people numerous times. Were there any things that kind of tripped you up as you're building out your own place that you're like, man, I completely spaced on that or forgot about it? What's the biggest thing that people are going to forget about that they need to think about at the beginning?
Plumbing. I mean, when you're building, you have to, make sure that everything is in line with your plumbing or as far as your building, your layout. But, I built multiple restaurants over these years, and I have a pasta cooker on my line that has a water supply, and it's great. But I did not put a floor drain in to drain it. So I'm like, we had already kind of poured everything back and building by the time I forgot the floor drain. So we're able to, I had to put a pump in. It's not the end of the world that I pump it overhead and we tied it back in the other way. But what that did is it ended up costing me another $1,000 at that point. So, here I am and build restaurants forever, and I forgot that. There's certain things that, blocking in your walls, there's a lot when it comes to the build. Well, a lot of restaurant guys, they're not builders, so they're relying on their contractor and their architect to do that. Well, we drew our plans. The plan you have is the entire plan. There's only 3 pages, and it was the bare minimal so I can get a permit, and I built this thing. I haven't looked at the plan since I submitted the permit. So, it's one of those, if you have a full-blown set of drawings, all that's usually on there. Unfortunately, I didn't draw a full set, and, there's a couple little hiccups, but nothing major.
All right, but I mean, I think, like you said, plumbing's a good one because you might not think about it. I would think maybe space as well. Even if you have something drawn, it's another thing that you ran into is that on paper, this stuff can go right up against the wall. In actuality, in practice, it doesn't necessarily do that. So even if you've done something in a finite amount of space, a really tight space, 1 to 2 inches can mean the difference between opening a door fully or not. So
right.
I definitely think,
how much square footage you need and what you think you're going to have. Having 3 concepts, I could have had another 400 square feet and been extremely happy. I'm tight. My vestibule got bigger. I thought it was going to be smaller. I grew that. It shrunk the office down to a small little area, and now there's no office. So
well, I remember that.
Yeah. And now my office is going to be in the warehouse if I need it. But the point is, another 400 square feet would have put us at like 1,300, roughly. And I think that's really where you want it for these 3 concepts to work in this kitchen. Now, a cheesesteak concept I could have done in 600 square feet, but all 3 of these restaurants, I really needed an extra block.
Well, and that's another thing. Yeah, and I wanted to ask is another question that I did have is that as far as marketing numerous concepts, well, that's a bigger question, but marketing numerous concepts. But I mean, so these are definitely in the actual physical building. Everybody comes into one counter, correct? There's not 3 separate windows, so to kind of keep separation of the business. Once they come pick it up, they realize, all these places are under here, but there's only one kind of portal with interaction of the customer. And I think this is what you had shown me, and this is when the office was still there. But that office has since been removed.
The bakery section now.
Yeah. So, but I mean, you have everybody kind of coming into the one counter to pick up all 3 different concepts. You don't have 3 different separate windows for it. Okay.
No, and we believe, and we still believe this, and we don't know until we open where it's going to go. But 80% is delivery here. I mean, at least 80%. You're going to get the walk-ins and the call-ins, just because of where we are. Now, in Champaign, our delivery concept is going to be 90%, if not more. So it depends on where you go and where you put it. But in this area, we're not going to see a ton of walk-in, I don't think. A lot of pickup, I think we'll see. And we're going to have curbside pickup outside where they just text us. I don't want them in there because of COVID. There's not enough space, and I don't want to have to be kind of fighting with customers in a way, due to the pandemic. So we're going to have signs in our parking spot, text this number, and we'll bring it out to you at that.
Well, and I think that's one of the things we talked about when we were looking at that is that just because those regulations that change and you need to have that distance, and that vestibule just didn't have distance for more than 1 or 2 people in there. So
I'd love to have a huge vestibule and have the customers, and there's no customer interaction with this ghost kitchen, right? So you're in an engine room, and being a chef, you want to have that relationship with your customers and that camaraderie. So we have a pass-through window that they can see right through that window. They can see the whole line and how this operates. So, we want to have some type of relationship with them. We want to build it that way. We're putting up videos to teach them how to do the frozen pizza at home. They can click on a link, and I walk them through a step-by-step out of my house. So to get that customer relationship, we still have a little bit, but being a ghost kitchen, you don't get to converse with your customers too much.
Well, yeah, that's true. And that's the other thing I wanted to say is that, how do you market a ghost kitchen? Do you market them as 3 separate entities, or do you market them as one entity or 3 separate entities in one location? Do you think most people will be surprised when they show up and realize that there's 3 different places in this one building? How do you market that to people? What's the best strategy that you're coming up with?
The best thing we found is to market each one individually. So Gino's Grill you market as its own restaurant, and all 3 of them you market as their own. But you also, you have it out there that you are within a ghost kitchen. Kitchens Unlimited is our hospitality company. So we market that a little bit differently than we do each restaurant. So we do market individually for each restaurant, but here's the thing: when you order from all 3 and they get a cheesesteak, they get a burger, they get a pizza, and a salad or whatever, now I have a big bag. So each individual bag is branded per concept, but the big bag that all the food kind of goes in, the brown craft bag, has the Kitchens Unlimited logo on there. And that's the way we decided to do this one out of the gate. It may change on store 2 or 3 how we operate that way, but being in a smaller community, we do want to show that Kitchens Unlimited along with the logo. And it has all the logos on the sign. It'll say Kitchens Unlimited, and it has the 3 separate logos on our building sign. So you almost kind of know what it is.
Well, it's like anybody who's got Disney Plus now, Marvel, Disney, whatever else they got. It's
right,
it's all under there.
Yum Brands does not put Taco Bell. They don't put Yum Brands on a Taco Bell bag. They don't put it on the can. You know what I'm saying? So they are.
Again, counterpoint. You're absolutely. Yeah, I used to work at a Taco. I worked at back when it was Kurtak. The only place I never worked at was at KFC, but I worked at Pizza Hut and a Taco Bell. And then they had all 3 of those guys.
Right. So we'll figure that out as we grow.
All right. Well, I did just recently show, and this brought up another question. And it's not the greatest picture; it's kind of blurry. But the food itself. These are one of the cheesesteak. These are probably even tests. These are some older pictures you sent me a couple months ago. But I remember something interesting that you said about the flour that you were using. You used the same flour that you're doing with your pizza to make this, and I think it wasn't a 00, but
it is.
I think it was. Is it Caputo 00?
Yeah, it's Caputo Americana 00 is our pizza flour.
Okay.
Our Philly bread flour, and now it's my brioche burger bun flour. So I took the regular brioche bun for the burger joint and started playing around with that flour, and now it's more of a cross between a Kraft and a brioche, which is awesome, right? But now I got one flour in here, and that's it.
Well, that was my question right there. Is that you're using the same flour kind of across all 3 concepts. Now, are there any? I would think anybody would encourage anybody to be able to use as many one product across all the concepts. How much have you seen to where you have to buy individual products for individual concepts? Is that kind of on the low end as far as like you need something special for Lucia's Kitchen versus something for Gino's Grill? As far as I guess going forward, have you been trying to make sure that you can use every product that you're ordering into your store, into Kitchens Unlimited for all 3 concepts?
Yeah, you definitely want to cross them over as much as you can. So, there are certain things you won't, but let's just take our mushrooms. We have a shroom steak, which is on our Philly. We have a mushroom Swiss on the burger, and of course we have mushrooms on the pizza. So our mushrooms literally, butter, white wine, garlic, little chili in there, deglazed with wine, and they're sauteed. And that's our mushrooms for all 3. That's what goes on our pizzas. That's what goes on this mushroom Swiss. So I can cross those over on all 3 things. And there's other things that we can do that as well. But when you're building, you definitely want to try to cross over certain ingredients as much as you can. But still be different to where they don't really know it,
Well, you were bringing that up just even about the mushrooms. There are certain mushrooms, somebody gets a canned mushroom versus a fresh mushroom. Now, you can use canned mushrooms across all the board, but if you want to do something a little fancier, higher end, maybe something in the Italian kitchen, you might want some fresh mushrooms. So every now and then you're going to have to duplicate some ingredients that you already have in a different way, or a
Yeah, I'm
cheese.
just
I mean,
not a fan.
what's that?
I'm not a fan of the whole mushroom game, and we'll stay on the pizza game because we're pizza guys, right? But canned mushrooms, hell no, right? Fresh
Okay,
mushrooms.
good. I like that answer. I like that answer.
Here's my next one. Fresh mushrooms, hell no. They don't go on a pizza. Don't put a fresh mushroom on a pizza. Mushrooms release water, and there's a lot. You have to pull the water from it. Ours are sautéed and cooked in garlic, and they're phenomenal. But the point is, I'm just not a fan of a raw mushroom on a pizza or a can. So it was a no-brainer for me. But
okay, so the Goldilocks thing there, just right, is sautéed versus your canned, which is full of water. Your fresh, which is still full of moisture as well. Which, trust me, I know anybody who's put them on there, as soon as you get it, it's like a swimming pool. Everything's just kind of floating on top. It's best if you can drain them somehow.
Yeah, and it can have that too earthy and dirty taste to that mushroom as they're fresh. And no, you want to pull the mushroom out of the water and infuse the flavor back into the mushroom, and then you want to bite it.
So you're sautéing across your concepts. You're sautéing these. Like you prepare the mushrooms before you serve them. You get them from the distributor, correct, but you prepare them before they. Okay. Yep. All right, and then you just use that one across all three concepts. So I guess you're saying just marrying all the concepts together as far as you can. As far as I'm sorry, go ahead.
Caramelized onions, same thing, right? I got caramelized onions on a burger. If you want to put it on a pizza, you have them. So yeah, we try to look at a couple different things like that across the board. Our Italian sausage that goes on our pizza goes in our chili di rapa, which is one of our pasta dishes. So you try to cross over some of that as well. And, it's definitely try to utilize as much as you can on the crossover.
All right. Well, I mean, again, it's all about working smarter, not harder. But this goes towards your bottom line versus, if you have to get one item for one particular concept and then that item doesn't sell that much, now we're talking food waste. So
right. That's why I took prosciutto off the menu.
Oh, interview over. I'm going to go ahead and play the outro right now. You don't have. We'll have a talk later, but I understand why. Doesn't mean I have to like it. You just made me lose my train of thought, man. So what was the most difficult?
I thought you said interview, like you had to get off the thing or something because I said no prosciutto.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely why. That's blasphemy.
Yeah, no.
But it's okay. This is your one. Even Spider-Man gives everybody one pass. We'll see how it works. But I understand the concept. It's not cheap. If not everybody's using it, you can't keep it that long to have any kind of quality, and even pushing getting people sick. So I completely understand it. That's why whenever we take the team to Italy and they're like, I don't like prosciutto, I said, if they put it in front of you, you eat it. You eat every drop of it. Doesn't matter. You eat it and you smile. I don't care. So we talked about some of the hidden pitfalls. I know you'd mentioned like plumbing and just some of the things, even as you as a contractor kind of overlooked. What was the hardest part about this build out? I guess the hardest part about the construction or the build out.
So the hardest part about any build out is schedule. Your trades know what they're doing, and for the most part, you hire a plumber, and it's usually a decent plumber, but keeping everybody on that schedule and getting it done as quickly as you can, because once you sign a lease, you got so many days to get open, and you're paying rent and all that. So schedule is number one. Now, COVID has got me a little bit backed up because certain things I couldn't get in time. My walk-in coolers took me, 12 weeks to get in, which was crazy, and that was due to COVID. So lumber went through the roof. Thank God we're mostly metal studs, but there's certain expenses I didn't figure on, we didn't check, but hurricane and COVID and 2x4s are $8 a piece instead of $3. So you're going to get that, but schedule is huge. Is keeping these guys on schedule to get done and keeping them coming here. So the fastest way to keep a guy on a schedule if you're building a place, pay him. Right? Pay him. I swear to God. So if the plumber's $20,000 give him 10 grand after a week. You got to pay him anyways. And he's not going to go down to Mrs. Jones and change your water heater when he's coming to get paid by you. So the fastest way to get built is to pay the guys quickly.
Well, yeah, I mean, pay them quickly and on time, but don't pay them ahead of schedule and then still be in the same boat as they're behind schedule. Now, I wanted to ask you, as a contractor too, I mean, this is something that you say, but I mean, how do you, I don't want to say, how do you keep them on schedule? Because you just said pay them, but I mean, is there another way that you can make sure that these guys stay on schedule? I mean, because again, they have their own businesses, and we have a lot of extenuating circumstances with pandemic and natural disasters happening right now. But I mean, how do you reinforce to them how important getting this job done by this day is? I mean, you say pay them. Is there at any point where you should say, well, if you don't get it done by here, I'm not going to pay you? Because I mean, that could totally blow up in your face.
Yeah, I don't mean payment full before they start theory, but
right. No, yeah, you say partial, keeping them going.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that you give them that schedule, and you got to lay down the stones of when you want it done. If you work off of their schedule, it'll drag on. So you need to know that, all right, look, you need to have my underground in by this day. And they commit to that. Before I sign a contract or I hire them, we go over the schedule and make sure that they're able to hit it. And that's key. So getting them to hold your schedule is a challenge sometimes, but for the most part, we've been pretty good here. But we built with my own team everything other than the plumbing, electrical, and mechanical. This whole thing's been built by my guys. So our work has been done for almost 2 weeks. I'm still waiting on the stuff. There's a plumber putting my gas pipe in right now. We have final inspection on Tuesday. So, but I sent my guys home to Georgia, a week ago. We're done for the most part.
Well, and that's the thing is that, I kind of covered it, but it was just one of those things. It's like you go over it beforehand. Like you had just mentioned, go over the schedule with them beforehand. Can you lay out, what they rewards and punishments if they don't meet these schedules? Like if you get this section done by this point, you will get you this percentage of the money. But if you don't, I'm not going to pay you for that until it's done. I mean, go ahead. I'm just saying, like using the
guys to commit to that. With liquidated damages, you're not done by here. You see where it is. So sometimes it's not their fault. It's another trade that slows them down or whatever. But it gets to a certain point, you may have to pull that trigger. But I'm not a fan of holding their money against their head. I won't sign. As we built restaurants, Brian, I can tell you, there's a lot of big guys that want us to work, and they say, okay, if you're not done by December 31st, it's $1,000 a day liquidated damages. I said, okay. I said, the only way I'll sign that is if every day that I'm done before December 31st, you're going to pay me $1,000.
Bonus.
We're not going to do that. He said. I said, well, we're not going to sign that contract. So and there's other ways around that, but I'm not a fan of holding that.
Well, I mean, but at some point you have to kind of, it's the carrot and the stick. And I wanted to ask you, because you're on both sides of this coin right now. Every time I flip a coin, it comes up Gene. So yeah. I wanted to see you as the person who's been the contractor, what has worked. I mean, I understand that you do, everybody does their best to get things done on time, but you as the restaurateur, what you've had to do to what you can do as a contractor that actually gets them motivated more than a regular person who doesn't know this, who might just, hold money hostage. So, right. And if anybody wants to get in touch with you about any questions, is there, just real quick, is there a place that we can send them to?
Yeah, I mean, they can email me that would be the easiest way. Email me at info@kitchens-unlimited.com.
Okay. So that's perfect. I'll put that up and I'll put it in the comment. Okay, I'll put it in the comments. It'll be linkable. Info@kitchens-unlimited.com, right?
Yep. And the restaurateur side has been way harder than the builder side. Trust me, the build is easy. That's the easy part. The hardest part is the websites, everything that goes involved, to the distributors, to the packaging, to the labeling, to the all the things that go to a restaurant. And I recommend you get a restaurant company, you have a team of people. We build for Jack's Burgers, right, all over the country. And there's 30 people that are involved putting this restaurant together. When you're building it with yourself and your workers and putting it together, it's a lot. It's a lot to undertake. But let me tell you, in a couple of weeks, when these when these grills fire up, it's going to be all worth every bit of energy. Trust me.
All right. Well, we'll get. I mean, that's like I said. It was nice to have somebody on both sides of the coin here. I'm thinking. I mean, some of the questions that I had to ask, you kind of answered early on. I was going to say, is it dine-in or not? Yours currently is not going to be dine-in. It's going to be all carry out and delivery. Is it deliveries or just carry out?
Delivery. Delivery 80%, carry out 20 is what we think. So delivery.
Really? Okay. Now, do you recommend dine-in for anything like that? And if somebody had the space, could they put just like a food court kind of thing where they had a bunch of tables like everybody could eat all three concepts? Or
no? Why? If you want to dine in, build a restaurant, right? If that's the whole point. Or that's my thing. Or just keep it that way. But if I were to open up just Geno's Grill, right? That's a cheesesteak company. I get away with 15 seats in a very small tenant space, and you're good. That's okay. But for what we're doing, absolutely not. It just makes no sense.
Okay. Do you envision anybody doing a multi-concept that could actually do dine-in? I mean, I know you kind of mentioned if you wanted to do a restaurant, you could, but I mean, I envisioned like dine-in for multi-concept, like when you're going through the airport, just because we travel a lot. When you get to that food court and you see it's all around you, it's all the chains, and then they have just one giant group of tables in the middle. I mean, is that what you think a ghost kitchen dine-in would be? I mean, ghost kitchens aren't necessarily built for dine-in.
They're not. It has nothing to do with the model. So that is a food court, right? So no, ghost kitchen, virtual kitchens. There's no dine-in. It's all based, and it's usually, Brian, based off of third-party delivery apps. In which what kind of money they charge and how hard that is. But when we go to Champaign, we're going to have Uber Eats, DoorDash, Grubhub, Postmates. We're going to have to be involved into that circus. But here in Effingham, I don't have to. There's one company out here, DoorDash, and I really don't even need them. So, but up in Champaign, we're going to have to use it to do what we need to do.
Okay. Well, so I mean, right now you're saying that you have enough employees where you can hire your own delivery drivers?
Correct. We have 12 on staff right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, so what is that, like 4 per concept?
Well, I didn't even call it per concept. It's kind of
just 4 drivers available.
Yeah, they're always available, and we have they take whatever comes in.
All right. Oh, here's a question I was looking for, and this probably should have been my first question, which is why it was at the very top of my page. But what is the first thing someone should look for in choosing a location for a ghost kitchen or multi-concept unit? Just the first thing. I mean, what kind of marketing research did you do before you bought this, or did if a space comes open, should maybe somebody grab it and then worry about marketing later?
Mine was, what are they missing, right? So we didn't come into Effingham and try to put in another pub. There's bar restaurants all over here, and they're flooded, right? So they're from Applebee's to TGI's to Independence, and that's not what they need. So my thinking was, coming to Effingham, is what are they missing? And immediately the cheesesteaks hit my head, because nobody has one around here. Nobody has an authentic one within miles. So that was number one. And number two, the Italian scene and the pizza side was another thing that I thought was lacking in this area. That's where the cheese started. And then the burger is just something that I think, when you have a great burger and you're a burger crafted restaurant, everybody loves a great burger. There's burgers everywhere, but as far as chef crafted, burgers, smoked mushroom aioli, things like that we do with our burgers, nobody's doing it. So you want to find something that nobody's doing, or you don't want to come into a pizza place that has 12 pizza joints around it. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay. Well, that's great. I like that. I mean, you kind of just summed it up in that first sentence there.
And the last
find out what's missing and fill the void.
Real quick.
All right, go ahead. I got a question by Shane Oates. We'll get to that, but go ahead, Gene. Your last thought on that, real quick.
6-month mark, we're bringing in concept 4. So I've already prepped this whole kitchen for the 4th concept coming in. And there's another.
See, I didn't even want to bring that up. I wasn't sure if you were going to go there, but you started with 3.
Cat's out of the bag, and we're getting hit with it. Our mural we put on the wall, there's a huge bowl of noodles. And everybody's like, what the hell's up with the noodles? So it's out. We're putting an Asian noodle concept in because that's another lacking thing in this community. There's Panda Express, and there's a Thai restaurant, and there's a little Chinese place. And that's all that's here. So it's an opportunity for us to open up something else again.
Well, this leads me to one more question that I had. And Shane, definitely thank you for joining in and asking a question as well. We'll get to that. It's all about discounts and not discounts, but third parties and stuff with the locations. It's a good question, Shane. You asked some really good questions. I appreciate it. But I wanted to ask you just real quick right there. You were talking about the concepts. What is the profit share between them? Does each concept make its own money? Are they their own entities and they kick up to Kitchens Unlimited? Or is everything that comes into all 3 concepts just in one big fund that goes to help everybody? How should somebody manage that? Should they keep them separate, or should they make it just a? Yes, all right, I like that.
It's a no-brainer. Is that all 3 concepts have their own EIN number? We're all individual companies, and then Kitchens Unlimited is the holding company, and we charge rent to all 3 restaurants and take 2% of, almost like a franchise would be, of like royalty fee. And let's say that, which isn't going to happen, by the way, but one of our concepts is the dog, and it's just struggling along the way, and we can't get it to get where it needs to be. Having a ghost kitchen, I can drop that website, close that business, open up a different business in a matter of a day, and be going at the same rate. So you don't want one who's slowing down to drag down everything. So I want everything individually done. And then as we're growing and we have investment opportunity and things like that, we want to have books on every one. And we want to show that the restaurants are profitable and making money. So, no, absolutely, you got to run them separate.
All right, so they're separate. I mean, basically, your businesses are paying your business, which is, I mean, it's fine. But like you said, you didn't want one to drag the rest down. What kind of turnover? What should you look for? What should you plan for if you have 3? If one doesn't work, I mean, as far as finances, you kind of have to figure that in, and how? I mean, if one fails and you don't have something, like you have something ready to go in, you have something else ready to replace it. If somebody doesn't have that other concept, I mean, there's got to be a lot of adjustment, because the rent's still going to be the same. So now you have to start charging the other 2 concepts that are left more rent. I mean, what are some of the things you're looking at that?
Right. And the great thing about a ghost kitchen and the way we have set up is our rent is shared across all 3, electric, gas, all that thing, all your utilities and your fixed costs, insurance, things like that. So it's awesome because it's spread across 3. Now, in theory, the space I have, 1,000 feet total with the coolers, I'm going to pay rent whether I open up a cheesesteak place or open a burger place or a little pizza place. My rent's going to be the same. The utilities are going to run roughly the same. But now I'm spread across 3 restaurants. We've dropped our operating costs by 2/3 of the way. So you don't get hit that hard by losing one. You definitely want to put one in its place. But yeah, the other 2 would have to take up that slack and the utilities and some of the things like that. But your food cost goes down, and there's other ways. Your staff goes down if that's the case. But yeah, I mean, if you open up 3 and have to drop 1, you're not going to see a massive difference in the operating cost, I wouldn't think.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's one thing that I think people would think about. It's like, when you have 3 roommates and then you go down to 2, all your costs go up. I mean, it's kind of the same concept right there. But I didn't want to say hello to Miguel.
Right?
What's that?
If you're in business and all your customers, you have 20 customers, out of that 20, 5 of them make you money. Those are your top 5 that really make you a lot of money. There's some at the bottom, so it's kind of that same way. So, it depends on where your other ones are running to what they are. If Lucia's is just blowing it out of the water and the other 2 are just, one's getting by and one's doing well, it may not be the end of the world to drop that, right? So you're losing that expense. So you look at it that way too.
Well, I like that. You say you're losing an expense versus not bringing in money. It might have been draining. So And if
Right.
something's rocking, like you said, that one different concept, it might be able to absorb it for a little bit. And that's the difference, because you're landlord for your 3 businesses. I mean, you still have a vested interest in all these, so of course you're going to make them work. Are there a lot of do you recommend anybody opening a ghost kitchen and trying to kind of open it to other people? Because at that point, I mean, you have no control over what they're making and how they're doing. You have no control over like what they're ordering and things like that. You're charging them rent and space at that point.
Right.
I mean,
Is that
something that?
Yeah. You want to be a landlord?
Exactly. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I mean, I have this big warehouse that we're in. This thing's got to be 30,000 square feet. It's a massive building, and I'm just a little corner in the back.
Yeah. Well, I do want to, well, we were talking about that too. You're like, I got room to build if they want to come, but I did want to throw some props out to Pizza X as well. Pizza X in Bloomington, where I used to work. They have recently opened a large warehouse where they have kitchen share space, and that's where a lot of the food trucks come in to actually just use kitchens. And they do have 3 separate lines that are pretty identical, but they do share like some of the bigger items, such as like flat tops and grills. But they also were able to move into a large warehouse where they have extra space, and now they're renting it out to other local companies. So they're a good model. If I can get Jeff Meese on one of his travels, I'd love to talk to him about that as well. Because when I got to go down there and see that, I was super impressed at what they've built there. But moving on, because this is not about them. Miguel, thank you again. You're getting international viewage here. This guy's from Luxembourg. He said,
Salute Pizzeria.
Salute Pizzeria de Michelos Lande, Luxembourg. So they're in Luxembourg. He's saying hello from the Pizzeria de Michelo.
Hello,
I'm sorry, he's been on so many, but I appreciate you watching, and I hope you're getting some information from us, Miguel. So Shane, we're coming back to you, brother. I told you I would. He wants to know, what percentage discount can you expect, because you're not open yet, but can you expect with third-party apps with 3 locations? So now currently you have your own driver staff, but if you're moving on, I mean, have you looked into that? What kind of I don't even want to say discounts, but I think maybe just cuts into your revenue, what they're going to be charging.
What he's asking is, is DoorDash going to take 30%? Well, now that I have 3 restaurants, maybe they only take 20 or 15, right? So I don't know where that is, because I've had a conversation with DoorDash, and they're not happy with me right now because I am not. It's crazy, but let's say they put my menu on DoorDash, and let's say a burger is $11, or just say $10 for easy number. On DoorDash, it's going to be $13 because we're not going to absorb that 30%. I told them that. Just because the community we're in, we don't really need that service. Now, when you get to the other Champaign location, it's going to be a little hard to negotiate that way. But I would expect some type of discount for having multiple restaurants under one ghost kitchen for sure. And I would negotiate that as hard as I could. I would think that we would see 10%. I would go fight for a 10% discount, across 3 restaurants if I were to sign up in Champaign with them. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there.
Oh, so okay, so maybe that's actually what he meant, is like, what percentage are you looking at given if somebody orders through DoorDash? But I mean, they do take their percentage. I mean, and you shouldn't be having to raise or lower your prices. And I tell you what, just with a lot of conversation recently, with no names given on third-party apps, there's a thing about them grabbing your information without permission and messing with your business, quality of your business, raising your prices. This is a conversation I want to have without maybe angering anybody who advertises with our magazine, but it's a dirty practice. It
is.
I mean, if I put a video of me at a bar and it's playing a popular song in the background on YouTube, that video gets deleted for copyright issue. How is this not the same thing?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Another conversation. So Shane, thank you. I hope he answered that, but if he didn't, I put it in the comments how you can reach him. info@kitchens-unlimited.com. Miguel says, wash hands. It's a good practice anywhere you are at any time. So
yes,
I think. I mean, honestly, I think you've answered most of my questions, whether I asked them or not. is there any one last thing that, I mean, in your journey right now, to open this concept kitchen? I mean, I've been following you through it. I feel like I've been a part of it without having to do any work, which is nice. Thank you for that, by the way. But what do you want to tell people who are interested in doing this? Why is this beneficial? I mean, we've talked about the hurdles and things like that, but I mean, why is it beneficial to do something like this? And one thing to just say, this is why you want to do it.
Yeah. The whole thing about the ghost kitchen is you can open up way less than it takes to build a standard, regular restaurant. So the cost to get open, the cost of operation, the sharing the bills across multiple concepts is big. As you know, Brian, our restaurant industry is so hard to make money, along the way. So how can you reduce, the operating cost, and how can you set yourself up for better opportunity? And that's the way I looked at it, is, not just one, we got to do three, and we'll put three in there. And then of course, maybe a fourth, but, I just looked at it on the operation. Labor's cheaper, guys are cross-trained, and it gives us a better opportunity. And plus, this is where the industry is kind of leading and going, and timing couldn't be better for us to do this. And then where we are in Effingham, Illinois, it's still rural, small town. It's 20,000 people, but it's almost bringing something like this to this area is a huge, like, oh my God, I can't believe we're going to have this type thing. You see it in a big city, it's getting to be the norm. But, so there is a big wow factor that comes with this. And our social media is just blown up. I mean, it's crazy. We went and did we gave free samples away a couple weeks ago. We did 650 cheesesteaks, and gave away samples, and it was nuts. The people that just showed up by a single post on our Facebook, from 8 o'clock to 12, I had a line 50 deep. It was nuts, and that's before we even opened. So it's gonna be crazy, but yeah, I'm gonna say you're gonna save a lot of money to do it this way, and operate's gonna be less, and that's the main reason why I looked at it.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it's just, again, working smarter, not harder, for your budget and your bottom line. I mean, you can,
when restaurants
if you
come
can do
back,
it smart.
one of these concepts may take off, and when the industry comes and when people are coming back out and dining, you're still gonna have deliveries when it take off. Maybe Lucia's goes to a dine-in place. Maybe, Gino's comes into a more of a strip center place. I don't know. We'll just have to see where we are in a couple of years, in 3 to 5, and we'll make those changes as we go. If you're not paying attention today in today's market, where you are with restaurants, and you're not adjusting to the delivery side and the takeout and carry out, you're going to be sitting in the back seat. So you have to follow where it's going, and we'll change, we'll adapt, and I'm not stuck in my ways. I mean, I'm a chef, so for me to cook a cheesesteak, a pizza, a pasta, or an authentic Asian dish, I'm fine as long as I'm cooking. I'm okay. So I'll adjust where things go at that time, and we'll grow that way.
Well, I mean, like you said, if you can adjust and adapt to this market right now, anything in the future should be a lot easier. This is going to be the hardest time for anybody right now. Now, I know a lot of people were kind of stuck into like moving forward like you were, because you had already started the process. And some people were faced with that same question. Do I stop now or do I continue? You chose to continue. Some people stopped. I've known actually quite a few people who actually opened up just right before and they're still going good, or actually right after the lockdowns happened. So
you don't have to stop. Just change your model. You have a kitchen, right? Open up a small little ghost, put a new name under it, start selling, whether it's wings or whatever, what's missing in your area, and all of a sudden you've got part of your kitchen, and it's a supplement revenue to where you are.
Do you think having those three concepts is kind of a cushion as far as like revenue? You said, if one kind of takes off, the others can maybe absorb the cost until you fill the slot again?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's, I think the three is, will be good, and we'll see where it goes. And trust me, if I see one going down, I'm going to have the other one coming in quickly, to figure out what that is. But, I definitely feel confident in our three concepts, and the food is going to speak volumes. And that's our main goal. It's not so much the concept. Is make sure that you're going to pay $13 for a pasta dish out of here that another guy could be charging 27 because it's on a plate. And we'll have micro basil on ours too. It just has a lid on it. The whole point is, so the quality of the food that they're getting is we're bringing them, chef quality level food at a reduced price.
Well, and that's what I'll say. One of the questions I had is that you've got ideas. You're ready to go. You're ready to put something else in there. So if somebody else doesn't, I mean, is it still smart for them if they have to start with 3 and they go down to 2, just kind of figure out or always have a different concept ready to go if something doesn't work?
Or build 1, right? You did the opposite. When you build, prep for 2, and then open the second. But kind of don't put yourself in a box. Is what I say. Allow yourself to grow when you're going to build it, or open with the bigger, and you can go down. But the cost to build a place is going to be identically the same whether you operate 2 or 1 or 3. And 3 is a little more for more equipment. But I would say, look, I'll build for 2, and I'm going to open 1 first while I'm working on the second, figure out what that is, and then you can bam, open a website, and boom, you have another.
Well, that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, the cost to build out is going to be the same. Yeah, if you do use your model where everybody uses the same kitchen, it's the same cost. So I did want to show this. I know we're at an hour now. Great info. Yeah, if anybody could put this in their face hole, I will give you $100. I will give you my favorite $100 bill. But it looks delicious. Don't get me wrong. But I might ask for a knife and fork on that one.
Yeah.
What's that?
I said you need the mushroom Swiss one up there. That's the big one.
I know. Well, I mean, there were so many pictures, and again, I wasn't not ill prepared for this, but I've been working on a lot of other things, my secret projects. Yes. So Gene, I want to thank you so much for your time about Ghost Kitchens. Now I know that you haven't opened yet. So we kind of talked about the preamble up to opening and how to get it all set up. And I do want to kind of reconnect with you about, a couple of weeks after you've opened and see what the results are like. Maybe some things you didn't expect that are happening, or some of the things that are positive that you're like, I didn't expect this either. So,
right.
I was going to ask for a final positive affirmation for the industry, just something like 30 seconds. Just give us all something to think about when we go to sleep at night. Just something happy.
You know what? I don't know. I just go after what you want to do. Don't stay stagnant is the thing. Just if you got a hunch and follow it in and go get it. So if you just sit back, especially in 2020, if you're going to let it kick your ass, then you're going to be there. But just go get it. Is the way I say. Go out and do what you want to do, and go out and make it happen. That's it.
All right. Don't sit back and wait for stuff to happen to you. You make it happen to yourself. I love it.
It's the only way it's going to happen.
All right, Gene. Gene McWilliams, Kitchens Unlimited in Flora, Illinois. I always get that wrong, right? Is that Southern Illinois?
Effingham, Illinois. Effingham.
Oh, it's Effingham now. That's right, yeah. Okay, so yeah. Effingham, Illinois. We have Gino's Grill. We have the Southern Illinois Burger Company, Lucia's Kitchen, Lucia's Italian Kitchen. You can find them all on Facebook, or you can visit the Kitchens Unlimited Facebook page, which I did put up there. And any other questions, you can find Gene at kitchens-unlimited.com.
Got it.
Get a better email. All right. Thanks, Gino. We really appreciate your time, brother.
All right, man. Thanks.